Welcome to CXWise, where we share wisdom, insights, stories, and expertise from the world of customer experience. I'm your host, Nate Bennett, and you're about to hear real-world experiences and practical advice that will elevate your CX game no matter your title and no matter your industry. So, without further ado, let's get wise. We're joined today by Vincent Lacsamana, founder and CEO of Premium Blend Consulting, a certified B Corp and a trusted partner to some of the world's most well-known brands. Before launching Premium Blend, Vince spent nearly 5 years at Sprinklr leading enterprise consulting engagements and helping Fortune 500 companies do social at scale. With over 15 years of experience in digital transformation and customer strategy, Vince has seen firsthand how the most successful organizations build systems that connect technology, people, and purpose. Today at Premium Blend, he brings that experience into a more human-centered, mission-driven approach to innovation, combining systems thinking with creativity, empathy, and responsible use of emerging technology. Vince, welcome. How are you, man?
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And I'm really good. I need when this podcast is done, please send me that because I'm going to play that everywhere I go. That was
You can use that
so good.
anytime you want, man. And all we're saying is the truth about you. Let's kick it off. I know you spent 15 years at the intersection of emerging tech and business strategy. What's one digital transformation myth you often find yourselves debunking for clients?
It's a funny word, digital transformation, because it's like it puts a lot of focus and pressure on the tool and the technology itself, but tech alone doesn't drive the transformation. It's really what I would say the myth is that we typically have to debunk. I think the best tool won't be adopted properly unless there's clear alignment across purpose, the people, the process, and ultimately if they're a culture within the organization that's ready for change, because we're dealing with a lot of oftentimes fear, I guess you could say, or worries, or their own intrinsic motivations across different business units. So it's a very human, deep exercise when we get down to the bottom of digital transformation, if that makes sense.
Yeah, how do you overcome or how do you help people that you are consulting for and with? How do you help them overcome those fears?
One, it's really active listening. So, I mean, in industry terms, you might hear like human-centric design and human-centric workshops and things like that. And at the core of it, like that's how well can we organize the conversation so the people in the room who are going to participate in this change get to actually share what their motivations are, what their worries are, what their user experience challenges are with any platforms that they're using.
Mm.
So it takes a lot of that, and I would say being very empathetic to be able to identify like what each person's purpose is, and what's gonna get them up and excited in the day. And we have to consistently find those things because change is very hard. And if we're not speaking to every single person who is being pulled through that change, it's challenging.
Yeah, for sure. I love how at Premium Blend you talk about positively using technology. And I'm wondering, in today's AI-driven world, what does responsible or positive use of technology look like to you?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, just because we can do something with tech doesn't always mean we should.
It's the old Jurassic Park problem.
Yeah, exactly. You saw that movie and you know how that ends up. So
Yeah, not great.
I think specifically in today's AI driven age, tech should be serving connection and not replacing it.
Mhm.
And I had the chance to. I'll boil it down to something like very human. Like I got to speak to a lot of students at Santa Monica College recently, and people who are just about to enter into the workforce, very worried. Like, should I use AI? Like, do I need to get smart with AI is it going to take my job? Like, and at the core of it, what I told him is like, look, AI is a tool, and I think the biggest risks when we have technology like this is um, there's a risk of human connection being broken, right? Because we have so much resource at our fingertips that we think we can do it all on our own. But there's something that I heard about recently. It's called like the swivel chair effect. Like when you're in an office, like there's something unique about being in person where you can actually swivel over to somebody and say, "Hey, how's it going? Can you help me with this?" And the amount of uh, longevity and retention that actually provides to a business is massive. We just have to remember why we're adopting the tech to begin with, and then it will be a responsible use of it. We just have to keep that purpose of connection at the forefront of why we're doing this, so that um, we're not automating things that shouldn't be automated.
Mhm. I love that you said technology should be servicing connection, not destroying it. And that's sort of the great irony, right? You and I were talking about high school reunions,
Yeah.
and I feel like Facebook, in a way, sort of replaced high school reunions.
Yeah.
I love the sense of connection, and we shouldn't be automating things that shouldn't be automated, that don't need to be automated.
Mhm.
Your team has worked with over 100 Fortune 500 companies. I'm wondering, what trends are you noticing in how large enterprises approach social media now compared to, say, 5 years ago?
Yeah, I mean, I think really what I'm seeing now is this urgent need for understanding the voice of the customer.
Mm.
And voice of the customer has been around for a little while now, but the way that I'm seeing the voice of the customer change is finding ways to actually integrate the insights into the day-to-day actions. So what does that really mean to the industry? That means that um, specifically in our world, when we're working with Sprinklr, social and digital signals are becoming a leading indicator of how does a customer feel about you. And we need to be able to provide those inputs to the right teams so that they can actually make an impact and make that connection feel felt, or make the relevance and the resonance of that content that they're pushing out feel authentic. So it's a really big push from seeing social as a pure broadcast channel, and seeing it as a relationship management channel.
Hmm.
And to do that at scale is why we've been working with Sprinklr for this past decade. Yeah, so I think that's the biggest thing. It's the shift from content pushing to more active listening. It's seeing social and digital as a leading signal for customer experience. And honestly, beneath all of that, again, is it goes back to community. Like people, the brands want to understand how they're impacting the community, and we need to have new ways of measuring that, because it's beyond just the typical last click attribution that tells
Sure.
us who's purchasing something, but doesn't really equate to the resonance of the brand or the equity of the brand. And that's what's has the potential to be eroded when we automate too much, is that resonance and the equity of the brand.
I love that. And speaking of authenticity and sort of community building, I think something that goes into Premium Blend is your commitment to become a certified B Corp. And I'm wondering, how has that commitment to purpose changed how you approach consulting and CX strategy?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I could take this in a lot of different ways. I think for me, I'll just start with my personal like founder story. So when I left Sprinklr, I before I left Sprinklr, actually, I went on like a minimalist journey. I was living in New York at the time, and I was traveling a bunch for different customers. And in that moment, as I was traveling, I got back to my New York apartment, and I got to see the world outside of my bubble. And when I got back to New York, I was kind of just like, oh, I think there's more to life. There's more purpose that I have. So I became a minimalist and I sold everything that I own except for what I could fit into a suitcase. And then from there, like I was doing the digital nomad thing before that was really working remote was really widely accepted. And I came to the conclusion that um, there's a new way of working that I would like to nurture and move forward, which is how does work look like when you integrate it with purpose? Um, so, I had a bold conversation with some of my leaders at the time at Sprinklr, and they supported it. So after that happened, I actually didn't really know what starting a company was going to be like. It was just like I had to do this out of my own survival and out of this like desire to do something good. And Then I found the B Corp community, and as I was starting my company, Premium Blend, I looked into what is B Corp, and I saw they have a whole accountability framework across different pillars of the business. So me being an implementation systems integration person, I was like, oh, this is a better architecture as a business to build on versus like traditional consulting operating systems. So that's why I started going down this B Corp path. And really what the output of that is one, we're protecting certain sacred things within the organization, like our purpose, our mission, our vision, and how that cascades into sustainability goals, environmental goals, and what that means for a professional services company like us. Because there's not a lot of B Corp professional services companies. You're going to find them like more in like Erewhon or like products that you'll find in the grocery stores and Whole Foods and things like that. But for us as professional services, where people tend to be the product, we have to protect at the core what is it that makes them deeply human and what it makes it meaningful to be a human. So practically what that looks like is we're carving out space for them every week to nurture the values, the purpose, if anyone has a side hustle, if there's like community initiatives they care about. And it's a multiplier effect to the value to the customers and partners we work with, because again, going back to the digital transformation, it's just like it's such a deeply human, empathetic exercise through and through, plus the product and platform expertise. And because we care so much about these human things, we're bringing all of that right back in and hopefully inspiring that sort of change amongst the organizations we're working with.
Man, I love that. Thank you so much for unpacking that. Um, I think that probably also has a huge impact on your employees, does it not? Like your employee experience has to be pretty great because that's your focus.
I hope so. I mean, we're pretty quiet on LinkedIn and socials. But I would hope that the employee experience is good. We have a really um, high retention rate of our team. Um, and I think the CSAT of our customers, the NPS of our customers is really high as well as a result of that. And, just beyond those kind of like standard industry metrics I would deem success of employee happiness, like I get really excited because we have people who are like volunteering at animal shelters every week, and we're making the space for them to do that. So, I think just generally in this day and age, and I got a glimpse of this again when I was talking to the SMC Santa Monica College students, like Gen Z millennials, they want to infuse their work with their purpose, and they crave authenticity in what they do. So, kind of just stumbled upon making that the culture for Premium Blend, and I'm hoping that we can continue to retain that as we grow. But yeah.
Another thing about your team is is probably pretty unique is that you have such a deep product expertise in Sprinklr. You have a history with Sprinklr. How does that technical knowledge and kind of employment history translate into better business outcomes for your clients?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I think again going back to like digital transformation principles. Normally I think the industry looks at it as people, process, and platform, but the way that we look at it is purpose, people, and then platforms. And so, we're really dialed in to purpose with B Corp, and that allows us to find the purpose of the partners that we work with, and then our people. So we really cut our teeth learning the platform before there were best practices.
Mm.
And we were involved with a lot of the best practice development and implementation methodology. Sprinklr serves a lot of different personas.
Mm.
It's serving people in care organization. It's serving people in the marketing organization. It's serving people in the insights organization and IT with their governance. And it takes a lot to be able to speak to each of those types of organizations. They all have their own motivations and things like that. So for us, having experience across the whole organization, having experience across all of the different product suites with Sprinklr, and then having this unique ability to hone into purpose, it puts us in really cool opportunities that as a founder and CEO, like I'm just excited to be in those rooms where we're bringing together all of these different organizations that don't know how to talk to each other. But we're brokering the conversation and helping people see eye to eye so that there can be a transformation that is meaningful to them. Yeah.
And how do you help your clients not just adopt the Sprinklr platform, but actually activate it in a way that transforms their customer experience end to end? When you kind of spoke about addressing fears, I wonder if there's more to it than that. That's actually impacting the customer experience that they're able to bring.
Yeah, so absolutely. We could probably speak to this for a couple of hours. So let's
do it, man.
Yeah, let me cancel my meetings. Yeah, okay, so I'll break it down. So I think the way that this has played out with a few of our customers is we got to speak with some of their senior leaders, executive leaders, and they told us what matters to the organization. And it's something deep and meaningful that can actually create a lot of change, positive change in the organization with their customer base. Something that makes an impact in the community. So I'm sure there'll be a public case study that comes out about this later. So I'll just keep it kind of higher level. But we helped facilitate that first within a workshop one. So we're establishing the North Star. And then two, we're taking that North Star and then really looking deeply at, okay, each of these different teams, we're meeting with them, the care teams, the marketing teams, the content production teams, the insights teams, and looking at, against this North Star, how is it that your operation is actually able to drive this or not? And we're making very pointed recommendations on, okay, here's how we're going to adjust some of the capabilities that you have within Sprinklr, and to help drive towards that. So practically what that could look like is we're adjusting a KPI framework, right? If a brand is wanting to make impact in the community, but they're measuring things like pure bottom of funnel metrics, like click-through rates or things like, or cost per, a ROAS. They're measuring ROAS, a very important one. They're not looking at what should we be measuring to actually see if customers trust us, right? So then we're looking at an aggregate. We're pulling together the dashboards, the KPI framework, and putting together for the organization. This is actually what you should be measuring to determine trust, right? So now that we have this kind of GPS navigation system, we're able to facilitate that within multiple conversations within the organization, make sure that the care team, the marketing team, the analytics team are all rowing in the same direction at the same pace, right? So within that, comes all like the workflow changes then as well, right? So we're gonna go through and actually configure the workflows, configure the I already mentioned the dashboards, but we'll configure the workflows so that we can take that measurement of trust and make sure that we're creating content that's driving that up, or we're responding to customers because that's something that will impact trust as well, and make sure that we're creating space for the agents to actually do the work that matters, not have to do so much manual work by making something no response required and moving it to a different queue. So now I'm going like super macro to like micro tactical implementation, which if you're listening to this, you might resonate with bits and pieces. But yeah, to answer your question, Nate, yeah, that's a very, very high level.
I
Hopefully
love that, man.
a good job.
No, and listen, you did it in well under an hour, so like it's great. There's been a lot of buzz about human-centered AI, and I'm wondering what that means in practice for you guys at Premium Blend as you're doing your consulting work.
When we think about human-centered AI and this concept of trust, we're actually able to measure signals across the full customer experience, leveraging AI to help us determine trust. So we're looking at the sentiment of all those mentions, all the conversations, all the response rates, all the campaign effectiveness, and how resonant certain types of content is, and all these things kind of like can get boiled up, leveraging AI in different pockets of the platform to make us understand how human we're actually being as an organization, right? So I think it's a very different lens that we've been approaching to make AI be more human centric, and it starts with that purpose. It starts with us aligning the purpose to the measurement framework, and then the measurement framework being actually measurable with and tied to action through AI-driven workflows and AI-driven insights. So yeah.
I mean, speaking of trust, you spent your career helping brands navigate all sorts of complexity with purpose, and I'm wondering if you had a piece of wisdom to offer CX leaders, decision makers in the C-suite about how to establish that trust and maintain that trust with their consumers. What would that wisdom be?
Yeah, it's a good question. But top of mind right now, I'm thinking about how we've done this with some of these large brands, and it's actually not too dissimilar to Gen Z and millennials and how they should think about this today. But in conversations with business leaders, it continues to be about going back to the core. Like that's the biggest thing of why the business even started, right? So certain stores, they started because they wanted to be friendly and support the health of their neighborhood, and that's so sacred that if we're not continually revisiting that why, then what ends up happening is the process that we build in the operating system or build around it, that why, can get eroded because we're looking at all these different performance driven things. So to put it simply, I think it really goes back to going back to your why, going back to your organization's why, and finding that mix and then protecting that with the utmost care.
Revisiting the why. I love that.
Yeah, it's really just revisiting the why. And once you have that, the purpose, and then the process and the people, I think is gonna follow more naturally.
I think that's fantastic. I would imagine you're somebody that revisits your why in a lot of different areas of your life. And I think that comes through, and I think I think it shows. I'm wondering about looking ahead. What's one social or digital transformation trend that CX leaders should start preparing for now, but maybe they aren't yet?
Asking the deep question of what should I be measuring? And does that align with my purpose or our organization's purpose? Very philosophical question, but I think CX professionals have a unique challenge because unifying customer experience is going to be about changing the hearts and minds of different organizations who have typically been siloed. And unless there is a strong purpose and why, it'll be very challenging to unify the front end customer experience. So I would say start with that, and then shameless plug, reach out to us if you want a partner on that journey. We love having these kinds of conversations and helping along the way.
Speaking of shameless plugs, for anybody who enjoys good music, get on Spotify and look up Vincent because he's got a couple of EPs, some singles out, and I have been listening to them for like the past 6 weeks or so, and like
Yeah.
I'm addicted to Deja Vu.
Man,
It's
thank you.
so good, man. Like I it's really, really great work, and I'm sort of blown away by it. And I feel like we could have a whole nother episode talking about your musical, as you called, side hustles. Where does that come from, and then how does it serve you in your day-to-day life? The artistry of it.
Yeah, I think for a while I actually tried to draw separation amongst the two, the technical nature and the creative nature of myself. And that was part of the reason also why I went on that journey to start Premium Blend, because when I was in New York working for Sprinklr, I actually stopped doing music. And so for me, I see it now as one and the same. They all feed each other. Like I'm actually a much better technical consultant because I am writing songs. There's something interesting about it when you're tapped into what you feel like is meaningful and purposeful to your life, how that then transcends and shows up in the day-to-day tasks that typically might bother us, right? Like, because I find a lot of joy and meaning across building a Boolean search query just as much as I do with writing a good hook, right? I find as much meaning and joy in the complexity of figuring out an automation and a rule just as much I figure out the whole construction of the song. So these things feed each other, and I this is maybe more of a broader like human philosophical thing to say, but I think we're meant to create. We're meant to do things that are meaningful in our lives, and that doesn't always mean we have to be an artist. Like that shows up in everything.
I love that, and I totally get it. I remember early on in my marketing career, someone told me it was actually, they were a theater person, and they said, if you don't find a way to combine the creative aspect of your passions with your day-to-day job responsibilities, you're going to get depressed really quickly. And so the combination of those two is really, really vital. And I love that you said, I think we're supposed to create. I think we should be creators. Yeah. Thank you, man. I just wanted to pick your brain about that. And Vince, thank you so much for your time. You've made us all a little CX wiser today. So thank you, Vince. I really appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, man.